semi-finals of the AFC Women's Asian Cup. And to discuss more about this, we have with us our sports analyst Sandip, Janee, and very happy to tell you that Australia has made it to the semi-finals, and the other three teams that have joined Australia are Japan, South Korea, and China. And we are going to have a cracker of the remaining of the tournament. So, Sandip, tell us more about what's going to happen.
So first of all, like to acknowledge the way Australia's conducted this tournament. So kudos to Football Australia and the local organizing committee. This is a record-breaking tournament already. Even before the semi-finals have begun, there's already been over 300,000 tickets sold. The fans have turned out in huge number, more than 225,000 fans already, which is already the highest ever in women's Asian Cup, plus non-host games like Korean Republic versus Uzbekistan, Japan versus Philippines also saw around 13-14,000 fans turning up. So I think for Australia this is phenomenal success. So they should be congratulated on a tournament which has been highly successful. This will go down as one of the best organized tournaments across Perth, Gold Coast, and Sydney by Australia. So, and that being said, the good news for Australian fans is that the Matildas are also through to the semi-finals. They're playing China, tomorrow in Perth. So let's talk about that. The way the tournament has progressed for Australia, and the way the history has been since they've joined, the AFC Women's Asian Cup in 2006. They've been then and thereabouts. They've won the tournament in 2010, and since then they've been runners-up in 14, 18, semi-finalists in 22. So they've been a very, very strong contender in the Women's Asian Cup all these years. And even if you see this tournament, they've won comfortably against Philippines, Iran. They had a draw against South Korea where they conceded 3 goals, but then that was a small setback, but that's fine. That's bound to happen with big teams. And then they won the quarterfinal against Korea at DPR as well. So I think they're in great nick, they're great form, and it will become a very, very interesting semi-final against China. So I'm actually backing the Matildas to win this purely on the basis of Haley Raso and Steve Catley returning from concussion. They were out in the last game, the quarterfinals. Plus for China, no Wang Shuang, their highest goal scorer, she's out because she's got 2 yellow cards in the last match, so she won't be playing that game as well. And if you consider the record between Australia and China in the past, couple of years, there've been 2 games, both won by Australia. So record, of course, in favor of Australia. Having said that, China, you can never, take them lightly. They've been the most successful team in the tournament's history. They've got 9 titles. They are the defending champions. They won in 2022. They are like the most dangerous team in Asia as well. So it is threatening. Plus, this tournament they haven't considered a single goal. Sorry, in fact, they've conceded 1 goal against Korea, but that's about it. All the other games have been won pretty easily. So I think Perth fans are in for a treat tomorrow evening. And those of you who are in Perth, please turn up and watch the match and support the Matildas. It should be a great game.
Yeah, so I guess we are going to have a cracker of a sporting evening tomorrow, and the other semi-final is being played between Japan and South Korea. Other also two very strong teams. I think that match is happening in Sydney day after. I think so. Just a little bit of an overview, if you could give us about those two teams as well.
Sure. So Japan is, I believe, the most dangerous team in Asia. They're number one ranked team. They've also been semi-finalists at the Paris Olympics. So they've been in great form. And even the way they've won their matches in this, Women's Asian Cup, uh, they've thrashed all teams. 2-0 against Taiwan, 11-0 against India, embarrassing defeat for India, 4-0 against Vietnam. And they thumped the Philippines in the quarterfinals 7-0. So I think they're the team to beat actually this tournament. They are very, very strong contenders to win. And they've been, again, in the top three, top four always. They've been always a threat to top teams when they've been, playing in the Women's Asian Cup and even, the FIFA Women's World Cup. Uh, Having said that, South Korea also, very, very competitive, very counter-attacking style of play, very technical in their approach. They've been, uh, if we go back just to the last World Cup in India in 2022, they were finalists, which makes them a very, very dangerous team. And the match was so interestingly poised, if I may add, that at a point at halftime, South Korea was leading 2-0 against China, and if not for China scoring 3 goals in the second half, they would have been winners in 2022. So, they cannot be taken lightly. This tournament, Japan, South Korea, I would say neck to neck, 24 goals for Japan, um, 17 goals for South Korea. When South Korea beat Uzbekistan by 6-0 in the quarters, Japan topped it by beating Philippines 7-0 in the quarters. So they are neck to neck. And I think Sydney fans, very, very interesting contest up for grabs on Wednesday, 8 p.m. at Stadium Australia at Sydney Olympic Park. So this is another headliner. And then, of course, the finals, in Sydney on the 21st. So three great games coming up, and a couple of playoffs as well, which for the next year's Women's World Cup. So interestingly poised, and last few top games coming up this Women's Asian Cup.
Yeah, and let's briefly talk about India as well. I mean, India is not a top tier, Indian women's team is not a top tier team in football, but they had a pretty good performance. If you're looking, if we compare from their past performances, there was one goal which kind of went viral, which was quite an incredible goal. So, can you tell us a bit about that as well?
Yeah, so India played three games. Of course, not they didn't perform as well as expected, but then they lost all the three games. But a couple of positives. One is that they scored their first goal in a long time. Sanfida from Meghalaya scoring the goal against Vietnam, and then the goal which you talked about, Manisha Kalyan, that stunner 30 yard free kick, which was incredible. Like you said, it's gone viral. And the second being that a lot of Indian fans turned up, in all three locations to watch the team play, which was very encouraging. A lot of my friends who are new to football and new to women's football were fans, and had said that the atmosphere was great. A lot of people cheering the team, so that must have been really encouraging. Unfortunately, I wasn't available. Otherwise, I would have loved to maybe witness one of the matches at least. So tough pill to swallow for India. They lost. They were placed last, but then in terms of how they're shaping up in the Women's Asian Cup, I would say encouraging. Couple of goals, one a couple of upcoming players like Manisha, and who are doing really well at this stage. So the journey from here is only upward for India. So it bodes well for the team, I feel.
Yeah, and just to wind up, I know subjectively we are all rooting for the Matildas. We want them to win. But if I were to ask you to place your bets, which two team do you think, or rather, let me just ask you, which two team do you think objectively has the best chances to win?
I would say China versus Japan is could be the final. China stronger team than Australia in terms of how they're placed, in terms of their form in the tournament currently, and amongst the other semi-final, Japan I would say stronger. So looks like a China versus Japan final. Heart of heart, I would want the Matildas to win and get to the final. I definitely am planning to go for the final and maybe the semis as well. So looking forward to both games.
Yeah, and we are all rooting for the Matildas, and in sports, you never know. I mean, there is only so much you can
Absolutely.
gauge with statistics. So we'll all keep our fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for giving us all the latest on the matches, and we will join you again to get more information as the tournament progresses. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Pallavi. Look forward.